Hello friends, welcome to learning sessions, and today in this video related to the ABM, we will be covering the topic related to definition of statistics, importance and the limitations of the same. So do watch this video till end, because in this particular series of ABM, we will be covering each and everything that is updated in syllabus 2023 for CAIIB in English language. So if you are actually preparing for CAIIB 2023, you must be watching this series because it has been covering the latest topics that have been covered in 2023. And moreover, you can join to our courses where you'll be getting the access to the full course videos, chapter wise previous questions, mock test, mega mock test, and the complimentary access to the ePDF notes. So do join right now without wasting your time and start preparing for the same. And don't forget to use the coupon code exams so as to get flat 82% off on all the listed courses over there. So do enroll right now. The application links are in the description. If you are Android user, do download my IIBF Learning Center, and for the if you are iOS user, do download my institute application. Use organization code GEGKT and enroll right now and start preparing for the same. Still having any inquiries or issues related to the same, get back to us on our WhatsApp number 83609442207. We will be getting back to you with the solutions and the resolution for the same. So thank you so much and keep watching the video till end over here. So let's start the session. It's related to the definition of statistics, importance and the limitation. Now what is actually the statistics? Now statistics is related to the data that when we were getting some data, or let's say we are basically having some information with us, and we want to basically get a relationship between this particular data over there, the relationship between these particular data, and for the forming a group over there. So that's actually related to it. So data means what? It means information, and further it can be of two types. It can be the qualitative data or it can be the quantitative data. Okay, and further when we are actually talking about the statistics, we are talking about the quantitative data over here. We are not talking about the qualitative data over here. So let's learn about it. Now statistics particularly has been derived from the Latin word that is actually the statisticum, and Italian word statistia, and the German word statistic over there. And for these three actually means group of numbers or figures that represents the information of the human interest over there. So that's actually related to the statistics over there. Now let's learn the four distinct phases of the statistical analysis of data over here. First of all, it's related to collection of the data. In this particular state, the investigation, the person will be collecting the data, and we meant to say the collecting the data related to, like, if you want to basically study the group of persons or group of students in the school over there, in that particular case we are going to collect the data related to those students over there. And for the data can be collected from the different sources that is actually available in the public domain, or it could be related to that we can have having a survey over there. That's actually related to that we will be collecting the data. After that, it's related to classification and tabulation of the data. Now when you have actually collected the raw data with you, you basically are to group that particular data over there into the different classes, and further will be forming the tables based upon that. So it's particularly related to that we will be looking for the relationships, like which age group is there, what is the average height, and further let's take the case that we basically had the age group range that for 5 to 10 years it will come under that particular group, for 10 to 15 years this will come under that particular group, and so on. Then further the third stage, it's related to the analysis of the data, where we'll be classifying and the tabulated data which we were already having. Now in the second phase, we are going to actually analyze particular that data using the formula and the methods over there. After the third phase, it's related to interpretation of the data. Now particularly you were having the raw data, but now you're going to interpret the things out of it, and this is the final stage where the relevant conclusion are drawn based upon the data when it is analyzed thoroughly over there. Okay, so that's actually related to four distinct phases of statistical analysis of data: collection of data, classification and tabulation, analysis of data, and interpretation of the data over there. Okay. After that, it's related to where the statistics is important. The statistics is important in business and economics. It's important in business. It's important in weather forecast, because it actually helps us to so as to predict the future things over there. The elements can be predicted and looking at the past behavior. Further, the stock market, bank, and sports. So it's actually having the application everywhere right now. And further, let's have a look at the functions of the statistics over there. Now, statistics does represent the facts in definite form. So whatsoever the data you were having, so it will be presenting them in fact definite form over there. And further, it simplifies the complex data. You are having a complex data over there and you want to simplify that. That's actually related to it. It's basically looking for pattern over there. And further, it provides a technique for comparison, where you can actually be comparing the set of data with the data over there. Let's say I'm having a population of 10 crore or 20 crore, 15 crore over there. Now it's quite actually difficult so as to get the data from all the people over there. So I'll be do sampling. I'll be basically collecting the sample of the data from the 15 crore. Let's take the case. I collected data for 10,000 persons over here, and further based upon the information that I got from the 10,000 people, I'll be actually be predicting the behavior of 15 crore people over here. So that's actually related to statistics. It provides a technique for comparison, and further statistics studies relationship between two or more variables over there. Like we are having one variable related to age, one variable related to literacy, one variable related to the height over there. So we can get a relationship between these all over here, and further it actually helps us to formulate the policies also, and so as to forecast the outcomes also. So these are the functions of statistics over there. After that, it's related to, let's have a look at the limitations or the demerits of the statistics over here. Now statistics actually never deals with the individual, it deals with the data over there, and further it's only based upon that. And further, statistics does not study the qualitative data. I already told you that two type of data is there. It's particularly related to qualitative data and the quantitative data, and statistics is actually the study on those facts which actually based upon the numbers or quantity over there. So it's the study of the quantitative data, not the qualitative data over there. And further, statistics give result only on an average basis over there. So whatsoever the data is collected, based upon that particular sample data only, you are going to actually be looking for the results over there, and not more than that. The results can be biased. Like I'm basically picking up the samples, I'm having some fundamental knowledge about the things over there, I'll be basically leading to conclusion based upon that. Now person B collecting the data, he is having some different mindset over here, his mindset will be different, and further the conclusion will be different also. So the result can be biased. So the data collection by sometimes be biased. It could be the case that the data being collected in a biased manner over there, and it will actually make difference in the whole investigation, and further it can make it futile over there. Okay, so that's a limitation related to it. After that, it's related to the different definitions related to the same. Let's have a look at it. First of all, it's related to the population. Let's take the case like give an example that I want to study 15 crore people. Now it's actually the full length of or we can say the total number of people, or we can say entire collection of the observations. So that is actually what, that is the population over there. Like we particularly we want to study the height of or weight of the men in India. In that particular case, population of the men in India, that will be the population. Okay, and further it's related to sample. Now sample is actually part of the population which is actually selected from the population itself. Okay, like I'll be picking up 10,000 people from this 15 crore persons, that is the population over there, that will be actually sampling over there. Okay, that's actually related to sample. Now data can be classified into two types over there, and that is actually the classification based upon the characteristics. One, it is related to variates, and the other one, it's related to the attributes over here. So when we're talking about the variate, it's a type of data in which actually the characteristic of the data varies from one person to another, or from individual to other individual over here. Like if we talk about the prices of given commodity, if we're talking about the wages of the workers over there, or height or weight, etc., it's actually varying from one person to another person over there. So it's a variate over there. Okay, and further when we're talking about the attribute, it's actually a characteristic of an individual over there that's actually going to vary, that actually varies from one individual to another individual, but that cannot be expressed in numerical terms over there. Okay, so variate is actually related to that is varying from one individual to another, and further can be expressed in numerical terms over there. But when we are talking about the attribute over there, in that particular case it cannot be actually expressed in terms of the numbers over there or quantity over there. So okay, so that's actually related to attribute. Okay, like if we talk about the actually talk about the religion of the human over there. Okay, so that's actually related to what? It's actually related to attribute. Okay, after that it's related to quantitative, and further numerical variables can be classified further. I told you that statistics is actually related with the quantitative data only, quantitative variables only, and further these can be further of two types. One, it is a discrete variable, and the other one, it is a continuous variable. First of all, it's related to the discrete variable. Now discrete variable is actually a variate which takes place the distinctive value, or the value that is only countable and usually finite number of values over there. Like if I say that A is having the height of 1, and further B is having the height of 2, C is having height of 3. So that's actually a discrete variable that is totally separate from each other, like number of members in the family over there, number of accidents over there, the age in years over there. So that's actually a discrete variable only. Okay, and further it's a finite value, number of value over there. And when we're talking about the continuous variable, it's particularly a variate that can take any value between a range. Like I'm having an interval over here, and let's say I'm having a value from 2 to 10, and for the value could be 2.99, the value could be 3.01, and so on. Okay, so that's actually related to what? It's actually continuous variable over there. Okay, so there are two types of variables. One, it is related to the quantitative data, we are having the discrete variable, and the other one, it is a continuous variable over here. After that, let's have a look at the important points over there. So we can actually describe the samples and populations by measures of mean, median, mode, standard deviation, that we will be learning in the chapters to come over there, that what is actually mean, what is median, what is standard deviation, and so on. Okay, and further, for sample, if we're talking about these terms over there, we set them to be statistics. Now sample is something that is taken from the population itself. Okay, so it's a part of the population. So when we are talking about the different parameters, different things related to the sample over there, these are said to be statistics. And when we are talking about the mean, median, standard deviation related to population, these are said to be parameters. So for population, these are said to be the parameters, but for the we can say sample, these are said to be the statistics over there. And for the statistics is actually related to it's actually related to characteristics of the sample, whereas a parameter is the characteristics of the population over there. And for the statistician, use lowercase Roman letters so as to denote the sample statistics, and Greek or capital letters so as to denote the population parameters over there. Like if I'm telling you, if it's related to size of the population, it is represented by capital N. If we talk about the size of the sample, it is represented by small n over there. Okay, and if we talk about the mean of the population, it is represented by mu, that is mu, and represented by this particular sign over here. And for the, if we talk about the mean of the sample over there, it is represented by x bar. If we talk about the standard deviation of the population, it is represented by sigma, and the standard deviation of the sample is represented by small s over here. Okay, so that's the case related to it. I hope that you must have understood. Then after that, it's related to collection of data. So we are actually having the data types over here, like we are having the primary data, we are having the secondary data. Now primary data is actually data which is collected directly or for the first time by the investigator itself or the researcher itself. Like when the census is there, the data is collected itself by the government authority. That's actually the primary data. And further, when this data available with the primary authority will be used by someone else, that will be the secondary data to them. Okay, so the primary data can be secondary data to someone else. Okay, so that's the case related to it. Okay, and like I told you, secondary data. Now second data is particularly the secondary information of which is available. So primary information which was taken for the first time or by the investigator itself, that was a primary data. But now when it is used by someone else, it's a secondary data for them. Okay, now let's have a look at the distinction between the primary data and the secondary data. Now the data which is collected for the first time, it is called the primary data. The data which is second-hand information, that is the secondary data over there. And for the primary data, in the hands of one person can become the secondary data for the other person. Okay, so primary data is actually the original data, and further that is collected for the very first time, and it could be related to that they are having the questionnaires, they are having the surveys, that's actually related to it. And further, so the primary data, we can say that is more accurate as compared to that of the secondary data over there. The collection of the primary data requires more money because you have to visit each and every household over there. It requires more resources and more energy as compared to that of the secondary data over there. Now let's understand the classification and the tabulation over here. Now actually when we are collecting the data, and further it could be the case that there is some common relationship or common characteristics that is actually present between the data over there, and further we are going to arrange that particular homogeneous group of data over there based upon that particular common information or common characteristics, and that is called the classification. So classification actually condenses the data, so we actually be removing the redundancy and unimportant details from it, and further it actually enables us that we can accommodate large number of observations into a few classes and study the relationship between the several characteristics over there. Like previously we just collected the data based upon the age and gender over there, and after that based upon the behavioral pattern of the data over there, we basically did what? We condense the data, and further it would be quite easier for us so as to actually be managing the shorter length of the data with us. And classified data is presented into more easier way, and that easier way is actually so as to basically tabulate the data, that putting the data into the table into the form of rows and columns over there, where we can actually be having the relationships between the data be very precise and very easily. So that's actually related to tabulation. Okay, now there are four actually important bases of the classifications. Let's have a look at it. First of all, let's related to the qualitative basis. Now here the data is actually classified according to the quality, according to the attribute like the age, religion, literacy, intelligence, etc. The data is actually classified based upon that. That's actually qualitative based. Then it's the quantitative based. Quantitative based means we will be looking for the numbers, we will be looking for the facts over there like height, weight, age, marks, etc. That is a quantitative base. Then it is a geographical base, based upon the geographic, based upon the regions over there or the location over there. We will be basically classifying the data. Fourth, it is a chronological or temporal base. Now here we will be actually be classifying the data based upon their time of occurrences over there, that when it occurred in 1990, 1992, 93 or so on. Okay, and further that is actually related to time series data. This classification is said to be the time series data over there. Like if we are going to compare the sales of a company for the different years, and we are getting the data for the sales of for the different years itself, so that will be the chronological or temporal base over there, and it is also said to be the time series data over there. So these are the four important bases of classification: qualitative, quantitative, geographical, and further the chronological or temporal base over there. Then further it's related to types of classification. Let's have a look at it. So it can be the one-way classification, two-way classification, or multi-way classification. When we are talking about the one-way classification, we are going to classify the data based upon only on one particular thing, based upon only single characteristics. That is a one-way classification. Like we are going to classify the data based upon the religion itself. That's a one-way classification. And when we are actually having the two characteristics, and we are going to basically classify the data based upon that is a two-way classification. And if we are having multiple attributes, more than two attributes, and along which we are going to classify the data, it will be multi-way classification. Okay, so that's the case related to it. After that, it's related to the frequency distribution. Let's have a look at it. It's a quite important pattern. Okay, so first of all, it's related to frequency. That is, what is frequency? Now let's take the case that we are having 5 students, and for the age is 6 for first, second, third, fourth, and fifth over here. 6, 7, 8, and 7. Now over here, what is the frequency of age 6? It's 2. The age is a frequency of for 6 is 2. Why it is 2? Because it is occurring 2 times in the observable data over there. So this is the observable data where we are observing, and further the frequency over here related to 6 is 2, related to 7 it is 2 again, for 8 it is 1. So that's the case related to it. Okay, and for the intervals are normally of equal size, covering the sample observations range over there, and further it's related to class limits or class intervals. Now what is actually class limit or class interval? A class is actually formed within two values, like two class limits or two class intervals over there. So one, it will be the lower class limit or lower class interval. Like if we are having the data from 2 to 10, it will be lower class interval and upper class interval over there, and together it will be forming a class. Together it will be forming a class over there. And further it's related to class length or class width. Like when we are talking about the upper class interval minus a lower class interval, that is a class length. Okay, so that is a class length or class width. Okay, so that's the case with it, that how many we can say data will be particularly present in that particular class over there. So that will be upper class interval minus the lower class interval. Then it's related to the mid value or class mark. Now what is the mid value? That is actually related to lower class limit plus upper class limit divided by 2. That is a class mark or mid value, related to the mid value of the class over there. Okay, then after that it's related to types of class intervals. Now there can be two types of class intervals. One, it is an exclusive type, and the other one, it is an inclusive type. Now when we are talking about the exclusive type, particularly let me just tell you that if you are having the intervals from 0 to 5 and further 5 to 10 and further 10 to 15. Okay, now over here try to basically get an idea that lower class interval and upper class interval are particularly not included, and those are excluded over here, and the upper class interval is covered as a lower class interval of the next class. Okay, so that's actually the exclusive type. And when we are talking about the inclusive type, the upper class interval and the lower class interval both are included. Like if we talk about that 1 to 5, then 6 to 10 and 11 to 15, that is the inclusive class type. If I saying that lower class interval and the upper class interval both are included. Okay, so that's the case related to it. After that, it's related to the class boundaries over there. Okay, what do you mean by class boundaries? Now it's actually related to that inclusive classes, like I told you, where the upper class interval and lower class interval are actually covered, we can actually be converting those into the exclusive classes. So these can be converted into exclusive classes over there, and that actually particularly the new class intervals which are formed by converting the inclusive classes into the exclusive classes over there, those are said to be the class boundaries over there. Now we are taking the case that we are having the example over here related to the class intervals, the inclusive class intervals from 5 to 9 and from 9 to 14 over here. Okay, and further we want to convert the inclusive classes into exclusive classes over there. Now in that particular case, the upper class interval will be equal to what? It will be equal to old upper class interval, that is equal to 5 over here, or we can simply say we are covering it for the next part, that we are covering it for 2 over here. Then in particular case it will be not 9, it will be 10 over here because it is inclusive. Okay, so it cannot be covered in 2 parts. So we are having 5 to 9 and from 10 to 14 over here. So now in that particular case, the old you say over here, it is 10, that is 10, and plus then it will be related to the it will be related to what? It will be related to the lower class limit. It will be related to the lower class limit, that is equal to what? It will be equal to the particular part, that is equal to what? It is equal to the 10 over here, then further minus 9. So let me just get the idea to you very clearly. So we are having the intervals, inclusive intervals over here, 5 to 9. It means 5 and 9 both are included. Okay, and we want to form the exclusive classes for the same. Now for that particular case, the upper class limit over here is 9, so it will be 9 plus, and further the lower class limit of other interval of the next interval, so it is 10 over here, and further minus the upper class interval, old upper class interval, that is 9, and further divided by 2. So that will be giving you the 10 minus 9 is equal to 1 divided by 2, that is 0.5, so it will be 9.5 over here. So this is your new upper class interval. This is your new upper class interval over here. And how to get the new LCI? How to get the new LCI for that particular case? Your old LCI. Now the old LCI was equal to 5 over here, and further you are having you have to have a minus sign over here. So it will be minus, then further the same thing, that is 10 minus 9 divided by 2, that is equal to 5 minus 0.5, that is equal to 4.5. That is equal to 4.5. Okay, so your boundary would be, your class boundaries would be from 4.5 to 9.5. This is your exclusive class over here, and further the next one, it will be related to what? It would be from 9.5 to 14.5. 9.5 to 14.5 over here. So that's the case related to it. So that's the case related to it, that how we can be calculating the class boundaries over here. Okay, so simply you just need to memorize one thing. First of all, it's related to, you have to find out the upper class interval, new upper class interval, that will be equal to old upper class interval. For upper class interval, there will be a plus sign between, and further it will be the lower class interval of the next class minus the old upper class interval of the previous class, that is 10 minus 9, and further divided by 2 over there. That's actually related to the new upper class interval. Same way you can calculate the lower class interval, but for lower class interval there will be a negative sign in between. Okay, and you will be calculating the same. That will give you the class boundaries. Then it's related to the open end class interval. After that, it's related to the open-end class interval. Now, in case of the open-end class interval, the lower limit of the first class or the upper limit of the last class, both are missing in that particular case. Okay, so it could be the case that the lower limit is missing, or it could be the case that the upper limit is missing. Like if I say below 10, in that particular case there is no lower limit. Okay, no lower interval over there. And further, if I say above 40, in that case there is no upper class interval over there, so that is open end class interval. Okay, then further it's related to the relative frequency. Now relative frequency is actually related to what? It can be calculated as the frequency divided by the total frequency over there. Frequency divided by total frequency. Now in this example, we are having the frequency intervals from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and 30 to 40. And frequency is given over here, like the occurrences from 0 to 10 it is 5, for 10 to 20 it is 7, for 20 to 30 it is 12, and 8 for 30 to 40 over here. And we have to calculate the relative frequency. Now we are actually calculating the relative frequency for the interval 20 to 30 over here. For that particular case, the frequency over here is 12. So 12 divided by the total frequency. Total frequency is 5 plus 7, 12 plus 12 is equal to 24 plus 8, 32. So it is 12 divided by 32. So that is what? That is our relative frequency, that is 0.357 over here. Okay, so that's the case related to it. And further, the second case, it's related to that we have to calculate the percentage frequency. Now, so as to calculate the percentage frequency, you are to actually divide the frequency, class frequency, by the total frequency. Like in the same case, if we go for the interval from 10 to 30 over here, the frequency is 12. Okay, so will be 12 divided by the total frequency is equal to 32 and multiplied by 100. That will be actually related to what? That will be actually the percentage frequency, that is equal to 12 divided by 32 and multiplied by 100, that is 37.5 over here. That is a percentage frequency in this particular case. And after that, it's related to the frequency density. Now, frequency density is actually related to what? It's related to class frequency divided by the width of the class over there. I already told you that the width of the class can be calculated by the upper class interval minus the lower class interval. That is actually what? That is your class width, that is equal to 10 in this particular scenario, like in this particular scenario over here. And for the class frequency is 12. So what will be the frequency density? It will be 12 divided by 10. That is the frequency density in this particular case. And further, the frequency distribution can be of two types. It can be the discrete frequency distribution and it can be the continuous frequency distribution. So first of all, it's related to the discrete frequency distribution over here. Now, like I told you that in case of the discrete valuation over there or discrete frequency over there, you're having the distinct values. You're having the distinct values over there. That is actually the discrete frequency distribution. Like we are just taking the case that we are having a survey and we are going to survey that the two has to know the number of the postgraduate in 10 families. So this is the number of postgraduates in 10 families over there, like 0, 1, 3, 1, 0, 2, 2, 2 and 4. That's actually related to it. So it's actually related to discrete frequency because there are actually distinct values for the same. And further, if we just look for the classified information into the discrete frequency distribution, in that particular case 0 is occurring for 2 times, so it is having frequency of 2. 1 is occurring for 2 times, it is 2. And for the 2 is occurring for 4 times, 2 has frequency of 4. And 3 is having frequency of 1 and 4 is again having the frequency of 1. So that's actually related to discrete frequency distribution, that for each and every different variable or different value over there, we are going to have the frequency for the same. That's actually related to discrete frequency. And further, in case of the continuous frequency distribution, we will be looking for the intervals. Like we will be looking for the intervals like the different marks. So over here we are having the data related to 20 students which actually appeared in the exam for 50 marks over there. And further, they have actually scored the data, scored the numbers and marks into it. That's actually given to be 12, 18, 23 and so on. Okay, so we are basically having the different intervals, like from 15 to 20 we are having only one student falling for the same, from 20 to 25 to 25 to 37 and so on. So particularly it's forming an interval over here. It's forming an interval over here. It's not a discrete value. We are not having the value frequency distribution against the discrete values over there. We're having the frequency distribution against the interval over there. That's on continuous basis. So the value could be anything. Okay, so the value of the distribution over here can be anything. It could be related to 15.5. It could be related to anything over there. So that's it. It is what? It is a continuous frequency distribution in this particular scenario. I hope that you must have understood the same. Okay. So that would be all related to this particular video. I hope that you must have understood the concepts related to the same. So do like the video and do rate the video out of 10 over here, and do enroll the courses visiting the website iibf.info at the earliest and start preparing for the same over here. And don't forget to apply the coupon code exams so as to get flat 82% off on all the listed courses. Okay, so that will be all. Thank you so much and see you again in the next video.